I'm scared to live at home with my creep stepbrother. I met Mike when we both started middle school. He's had a crush on me since I could remember and didn't try to hide it. It was a running joke with friends/classmates that he was in love with me because he would constantly buy me snacks/drinks, pay for my lunch before I could, give me tons of gifts on Valentine's Day like stuffed animals and flowers, and generally take any chance he could to be close to me. He'd regularly ask me out at least once every week or so. It made me uncomfortable, but I just kept politely telling him no, I wasn't interested in dating him or any other guys. I found out that was because I'm a lesbian. Well, sometime before I was 14, my dad told me he'd been seeing a nice lady for a while and they'd hit it off and were going to be getting married. This was pretty shocking, the marriage part, not the dating part. My dad's not super subtle, but I was happy for him. He'd been pretty down since he and mom separated when I was 10. I'd been living with both mom and dad 50-50 until my last years of elementary school when mom had to move for work. I got along better with dad, so I stayed with him so I wouldn't have to move. I still see mom every summer though. So before I turned 14, dad's fiancée, Abby, moved into our house with her son. Her son Mike. Dad said she had a kid my age, but he'd never said it was Mike, and now he and I were forced to live together. Mike was beyond happy that we lived together and took every chance to be around me constantly. The only place I'm safe from him is my bedroom because there's a lock. He constantly wanted to hang out as new step-siblings, but everything he wanted to do was date/couple stuff. Going to the movies, getting food alone, studying alone, etc. It was mentally exhausting being around him almost 24 hours a day. And whenever I'd refuse to sit by him, or hang out with him, or play nice with him, his mom would gripe to my dad that I was being argumentative and rude. This led to my dad talking to me like the problem was with me. He'd tell me blended families were tough to navigate, but me being difficult wasn't making things easier. He said if Mike was willing to try to build a bond, then I should be too. Then I'd be forced to sit by Mike while we watched movies together as a family, and it made me feel crazy. Well, not too much later I happened to catch Mike talking on Mike with his online game friends, and he was talking about me and how we were both basically dating, and it made me so mad. I stormed into his room and yelled at him that we weren't dating and he was creepy to keep trying to date me after I told him no 100 times, on top of us being step-siblings now. I thought he'd muted his mic, but I was wrong because his friends all started laughing at him and one called him sick and he yelled at me to get out. I did, and things got easier after that. He'd stopped hanging off me all the time and left me alone. Things were easier, nicer at home, and I was happy. But then sometime after I turned 14 and our parents were married, those gross "what are you doing stepbro" memes got really popular, I guess, and Mike found them and all his creepy behavior came back, but worse. He sent me some messages of the memes and said they were lol so funny and wouldn't stop bringing them up. He refused to call me anything besides stepsis and told me to only call him stepbro. He wouldn't respond to anything else. Living with him became unbearable. He'd be creepily flirty and say gross suggestive stuff to me when our parents weren't home. He'd also put stuff on high shelves so I would have to stretch to reach, or put stuff of mine in weird places like inside the dryer/washing machine or similar places. I felt like I was living in hell. Then we were all stuck at home together and it wasn't so bad. He's not overly gross or obnoxious when Dad or Abby are around, so it was a temporary peace. But then Dad had to go back to work when stuff sorta chilled out, and Abby was still working from home, but she was in her office all day, so I may as well have been alone with Mike all the time. I've been locking myself in my bedroom all day since that's the only time I get to not deal with Mike. At the start of this year I began dating my girlfriend Kat, and I eventually told her about Mike, all the weird shit he does, his creepy behavior, the stepbro meme, everything. She knew about him being into me from school, and she said I should ask Reddit. I want to go live with my aunt. She said I could stay with her, but I haven't told her why exactly I want to leave yet, and I know I need to tell her why I'm so desperate to leave home, but it's so embarrassing. I don't think I can just come out and say my stepbrother is perving on me, has been for like 2 years by now. How do you talk to an adult about weird porno references, step-sibling fetishes, harassment, etc.? But I have to tell her. And I'm hoping once she knows she can help me tell Dad and Abby. I'm dreading telling my aunt. There's no way I'd be able to talk to my dad or Abby alone about this crap. I'm just not sure how to begin. I'm scared to live at home with my creep stepbrother. There's so much that happened since my last post. I downloaded a recording app onto my phone because people said getting recordings of Mike saying the gross stuff he says to me when we're alone was super important. Having solid proof was big because without it Mike could say I was lying. So I did, and always kept my phone on me and recording when I left my room for food/drinks, since that was the only time I was by myself with him. People suggested I start getting evidence about his long-term behavior towards me. I talked to friends and people I've known since middle school and asked them to write down what they remembered of Mike and how he acted towards me. Most of it was how he followed me around all the time, buy/give me stuff all the time, ask me out weekly, and more. I printed them out and kept them in a folder under my mattress. 2 days after downloading recording app I got a full argument between him and I on tape where he says a lot of nasty stuff to me, including making gross comments about me being bent over, him calling me stepsis in that creepy way and laughing at me after I told him to stop. Saying he knows I loved it and I should be grateful anyone was paying me any attention, and calling me a cunt, stupid, a B-word, and more after I told him I was in a relationship. This was before Abby came in and broke it up. I'm glad she showed up cause he was getting too close and being aggressive after I said I was dating somebody. Told Dad I wanted to hang out and have a girls' weekend with my aunt and he agreed, but I feel like he just wanted some peace and quiet, but I got to go, so whatever. I made sure to pack all my evidence and anything I'd need for a week or more since I don't know when I'd go home after I told my mom and aunt. Did this trick with a rubber door stopper and a vent hanger to keep my door stuck closed after I was gone, got to aunt's place and asked her if I could talk to her and my mom on Zoom about something really important. She looked worried and said sure. Got mom on a Zoom call and sat down with aunt. Her girlfriend went out shopping to give us some privacy, which was cool. I told them everything about me and Mike, from all the way back when we were still in middle school. The gifts, the following, the asking me out, everything. My mom looked horrified and asked why I never told her or an adult. I said I told the teacher, but she said Mike just had a little crush and said for me not to hurt his feelings too much, so I just kept telling him no as nice as I could. Mom and aunt were very mad, even before I showed them the stuff people I went to school with / am still friends with wrote about him. But when I sent mom the recording and let my aunt listen to the one on my phone, mom wanted to call the cops. Aunt told her they needed to talk to my dad and his wife first cause there's obviously something wrong with Mike mentally and they need to know before he attacks some other girl. Mom wasn't happy but agreed, but said I'm not going back to dad's house after this. Not for a long time. I was glad tbh. Mom called dad the next day and told him they, her, him, and Abby, needed to talk about me and Mike and it was important. Dad said he felt the same, which was weird, and aunt invited them over to her place since I was already here. They all showed up the next day and mom was on Zoom and said we needed to talk about the inappropriate behavior going on, and Abby cut in and said yes, it's time we all acknowledge the elephant in the room, ops piss poor behavior. And she went on to talk about how I was intentionally making cutting remarks towards her son, how I was being cruel and treating him like a stranger despite us living together for so many years, and how he came to her practically in tears because I told him he was worthless. My mom lit into Abby, told her she didn't know if she was just naturally this stupid and blind or if you had to work at it, and then told her that her son was the one being inappropriate, and then asked my aunt to read out all the testimonies from our classmates over the years. Aunt did, and each letter made Abby more mad and Dad looked more disturbed. Mike looked like he was trying not to freak out. Abby dismissed all the letters by saying I'd bribed all my friends to say that stuff. That is when things went absolutely HT. Aunt explained to them what the stepbro meme was and where it came from. How it was from Rope Intimate Videos. Then my aunt played the recording I got of me and Mike the day before. Abby looked like someone unalived her cat right in front of her, and Mike looked like he lost all the blood in his face. Dad looked mad and also sick. After that it was a lot of screaming, mostly from Dad and Abby. Abby, to her small credit, slapped Mike so hard he fell off the couch. I didn't expect that, because she's never ever hit Mike or anyone ever that I've known her. I expected her to play it off like he'd been joking, but she really smacked him right out of his seat. Mike was crying and saying stuff nobody could understand, and Abby was just verbally shredding him. Dad said he was sorry to me, which I said was nice, but I can't forgive him yet. I told him he made me feel crazy, like what Mike was doing wasn't a real problem or like it wasn't happening, and I told him living with Mike, with him being this way towards me for years, made me hate his house. I didn't feel safe there anymore. I probably won't ever again. I cried and my mom said I'm not going back to his house for the foreseeable future, and Dad cried. My aunt and dad helped me move all my stuff out of my old room and into the guest room in my aunt's place. Her girlfriend is cool with me staying however long. Mom and my aunt got me into online therapy and I've only had one session so far, but I'm hoping it'll help. Mom says it will, so fingers crossed. I haven't heard what happened to Mike besides the fact that he's in a lot of trouble and they're putting him in therapy to deal with whatever the hell he's got going on. I will never forget Abby yelling that she did not raise some sick sexual deviant and he'd get help or else. We called the cops and filed a report, but they said we won't press charges if he gets help, but there's gonna be a paper trail in case the therapy doesn't work. That's about it so far. I'm staying with my aunt and her girlfriend. I'm not stuck in my room all day. Which is awesome. I've started doing yoga with my aunt's girlfriend, which is harder than it looks. I don't know how long I'll stay with my aunt. Mom wants me to stay with her, but I said I don't want to leave here yet since I'd have to leave all my friends and girlfriend. Mom knows I'm gay, so Mom said I can stay with my aunt for now. Not sure what's gonna happen next, but so far things are better than before, so I'm staying positive.